Okay, Erica Lorraine Spencer here. This is the P.O.C. This is real-time documentation, audio documentation of what is a public entity, which is specifically the state of California, that's engaged in monitoring American citizens. And that criminal system is called federal group stalking and monitoring. And I have engaged in what is prolonged documentation in various forms, one of which forms is the audible documentation, or audio documentation, excuse me. And so this is documentation dated on January 1st, 2020, where at that time my car had already been stolen by the state, and I was remaining inside of a third party's vehicle at the address of 630 North FERN, where federal group stalking and monitoring was underway while I was inside of that car, which is what I was documenting. And I want to clarify, as I am engaged in ongoing documentation I would say discerning between the elements and what the entity is actually doing as they're engaging in this conduct repeatedly. And so what I have referred to as nonverbal communication, I want to be clear, that is audible activity. And so as I termed it at that time, which was nonverbal communication, it was based on the ongoing noise, which had that same behavioral pattern, but in determining or understanding what the entity was engaged in and is engaged in, it is not a matter of them communicating amongst each other. It is a matter of them monitoring with that noise. So they're not so the nonverbal communication came from the idea that they're creating noise pursuant to what I am doing, and they're communicating with each other about what I'm doing. And that is not what it is. They all know what I am doing. They are creating noise pursuant to what is monitoring conduct, which is how you monitor. And so I termed it at that time as nonverbal communication. I want to be clear. Nonverbal communication, and when I use that term, I am speaking about what is audible activity. And it is, understand, the same behavioral pattern. I have engaged, being subject to this prolonged criminal conduct and that behavioral pattern, understood it. It's not about them communicating with each other. It's about them creating ongoing activity while they maintain awareness of what I am doing, when I am doing it, as I am doing it, where I am doing it. And so that ongoing stalking with activity is for purposes of monitoring, as I stated, but at that time termed what is nonverbal communication, and it is not nonverbal communication. It is precisely identified as what is audible activity. Nonverbal communication is audible activity, by the way. I'm terming it as nonverbal communication because I am under that understanding at that time, as I am still documenting ongoing criminal conduct that I remain subject to as some sort of communication amongst each other. And it's not, it's group conduct amongst each other as to what is monitoring via communication devices. So I just want to make sure I clarify that. And so this is where I am remaining inside of the third-party vehicle belonging to TRACEE Banks. It was a black BMW where the state's fake son remained over that vehicle on that street as I was sleeping in that car, remained in that car. And then as I walked from that car to the library, to the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library, or the Upland Library, or in Starbucks, for example, at that time. This is before the shutdown of all of these public establishments, and the state was stalking with its fake son. Remaining directly over my head, remaining directly over the car, remaining directly over the library, Upland Library, Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library, Starbucks, and remaining for the entirety of the day. Wherever I remain, that's where the state's light source remained, which also you will see in the videos that I have published, documented over the years, and you're seeing what is the light source. This is a means of cumulative documentation. For example, August 14th, 2019, look at this, where the state's light source is, where I'm documenting for the entirety of the day, federal group stalking and monitoring, and you can compare it to August 14th, 2020, where the state's fake son is remaining where I am for that day, which is Walmart at 133 North Mountain Avenue in the city of Ontario. That is another value of documentation where you are seeing what is blatant stalking with light, and that is just another example. You're also comparing it not only by the year, you're looking at it day by day, you're looking at it moment by moment, because that is not the sun that's moving from one side of a building or one side of a parking lot or one side of a wall to another. You're looking at what is federal group stalking and monitoring, identified by that observation of the environment, and this is the utter removal of the state's reliance on the outward guise under which they're engaged in what is egregious, criminal, and demented group conduct of monitoring American citizens, the people of the state, and the state that is monitoring via the people of the state. That is the state of California. And that is what you're hearing in the background. They are already prosecuted. It's P.O.C. It's 9:48 a.m. today on February 25th, 2021. And this is documentation speaking to what was documented on January 1st, 2020, where, by the way, City of Ontario was engaged in monitoring then as well, engaging in what is stalking with light everywhere that I'm walking on the street, on the sidewalk, using their vehicles, stalking with activity in the same manner, stalking with light in the same manner, and this is prolonged documentation of that. This is that which is captured, and this, I mean January 1st, 2020, not the group stalker you're hearing in the background right now. January 1st, 2020 is that which was captured inside of the car while I am at the intersection of FERN and G Street, in front of the address of 630 North FERN Avenue. And this is also published in video under the playlist specifically attributed to that location where I remain subject to monitoring by the state, who engaged in the ongoing pattern of conduct of stalking via aircraft and helicopters over the car, stalking by police while I'm inside of the car, aiming impossible light activity, the state's directed light inside of that vehicle, while third parties, the people of the state, group stalking in their homes, group stalking remaining around the vehicle, and group stalking as they're maintaining group presence driving past. All right. And that's the same behavioral pattern as I'm documenting it inside of a car, which, by the way, the awareness of my presence inside the car is indicated by the state's engagement in that behavioral pattern. Okay. It's 9:50 a.m. and that's P.O.C. What that is that is the ongoing chorus of the helicopter currently, but as I've been documenting, it's been the airplanes and the helicopters, or the helicopter, interchanging roles as they swarm above this vehicle, listening to my actions inside of this vehicle on FERN and G. That's what I've been documenting, and third parties that are engaged in planting themselves around this vehicle. They're the same ones that throw items on this vehicle. They engage in relevant positioning while the airplanes above fly about. There you go. This is pursuant to invasion of privacy. They engage in real-time reactions as I document the P.O.C. The airplane's P.O.C. is stalking and surveillance. And this is the, as I have documented, the ceaseless perpetual flying over my location, flying over this vehicle, and also doing so in simultaneity with my activity inside of the car, which requires invasion of privacy. That was a helicopter previously engaged in swarming above this vehicle as I'm inside of it. Third parties that are acting in concert are engaged in sounding their car horns as I engage in movement. They are directly across the street, walking past on their bikes. They are engaged in what is called relevant positioning. They are engaged in driving past what's called relevant positioning while the aircrafts are engaged above, hovering above. This is the ongoing search and unlawful theft of electronic information, which is what they are obsessively seeking after. And they are engaged in stalking and surveillance in order to do so. And my documentation as to the third parties, that is the people of the state of California. These are unknown third parties that are engaged in criminal conduct with the government. And this is the very reason why the state is engaged in stalking conduct and flying over and surveilling me based on my documentation that initially began with third parties engaged in such conduct. This is the reason why, to date, January 1st, 2020, the airplanes are engaged in continuous stalking and surveillance. And it is pursuant to my activity on a communication device inside of a car, requiring them to be invading privacy. In addition to the third parties that are engaged in nonverbal communication through the sounds of their car horns, relevant positioning like this vehicle driving past right now, they are engaged in concerted action, directing light inside of this car, listening to every word that I recite while I document the P.O.C. The way that light travels inside of the car is a natural. It is a product of directed light, as I have documented inside of facilitating venues, as I have documented inside of this car. It is the very reason why the state is engaged in stalking and surveilling me. It is the very proof of the third-party concerted action. And these are the third-party strangers. These are the people of the state of California. This is the purpose of my suit against the state. This is the reason why law enforcement, this is the reason why the state is engaged in stalking me via aircraft. This is the very reason why. And this is proof of that third-party conduct in addition. I am inside of the vehicle at FERN and G while they listen to me document and continue to engage in flying about and swarming over this vehicle as I'm inside of it, unsuccessful in seeking to steal electronic information. But that is where my discovery of the criminal conduct that I was a victim of began, and that is where it continues. That's what they continue to seek after. And that is the purpose of the state organized system of stalking and harassment. It's January 1st, 2020. It's 8:41 p.m. And again, that's airplanes and helicopters flying above as I'm inside of a vehicle on FERN and G. So this is the same P.O.C. That is engaged in over a year now. We're in 2020. The airplanes began their stalking conduct. Law enforcement began its more obvious form of stalking conduct, which is after they're seeking after electronic information. This is a component of the state organized system of stalking and harassment. It continues to date, 2020. And third parties, as I have documented, originating and 2018, this is the reason why the state began its more obvious and incredible acts of stalking via aircraft, which I am documenting today, January 1st, 2020 at 8:42 p.m. That is a helicopter in the background, and that is also this third party that's directly across the street closed their car door as they listen to me press an item on my phone. It occurs in simultaneity. That is the P.O.C. of nonverbal communication. These are third parties that are engaged in relevant positioning, engaged in communicating with the state that is above, audibly heard. That's a helicopter in the background, swarming above. That's nonverbal communication. That's what that is, and it occurs in simultaneity, which is the P.O.C. It's 8:43 p.m. That is aircrafts that engage in flying behind and over this car, in addition to the helicopter that is swarming about. They not only fly west, they fly in all manner of direction. They also engage in using a plethora of aircrafts. They use these aircrafts that are audibly perceivable, but they engage in maintaining a static presence in the airspace above every location that I am at, every location that I am en route to, and everywhere that I remain. And the third parties are engaged in a P.O.C. that actually, based on the universal presence of the aircraft pursuant to their stalking and surveillance, is universally capable and feasible at every place that I'm at. All they have to do is engage in relevant positioning. Nonverbal communication, invasion of privacy are the tools at the state's disposal with regard to the state system of stalking and harassment. And this is my direct evidence of the continued conduct of the state to date. That is a helicopter. Now it is 8:45 p.m. and again, as I'm documenting right now, the airplanes and the helicopter exchange roles. They interchange, flying back and forth. The helicopter, specifically from 8:25 until 8:34 p.m., was engaged in specifically flying in circles above this car, just flying in circles above, as it also did last night on December 31st, 2019. While I was engaged in documenting the P.O.C. They do so based on their listening to me engage in that documentation, which they are hostile to. This is direct evidence of the very allegations against the state, and it does not get any more direct than this. It's 2020, and this is the ongoing occurrence, the perpetual, ceaseless, cyclical stalking, surveillance, invasion of privacy, and monitoring through communication devices that surround me based on third parties who are engaged in concerted action with that state. And again, the tools that they use are nonverbal communication, and outdoors it's mainly comprised of car doors closing at all times of the night. They occur in simultaneity with my conduct, with my activity, any change thereof. They occur with in conjunction with the unnatural direction of light in all positions inside of this car, irrespective of my deliberate efforts to cover up the car in order to document the extreme measures with which they use. Light in particular, light is directly elemental to that ongoing search for electronic information. I am inside of the vehicle. Their actions that occur in simultaneity with my conduct requires them to be listening to what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, where I'm doing it. This is ongoing at every place that I go. This is a system that is in place, and it is the people of the state of California. The implications are a matter of public corruption, and everything that I have documented is showing to date how that system is still in place. The very presence of the airplanes is a substantiation of that allegation against the state. They're engaged in stalking, and the reason why they are engaged in stalking is because of my documentation of third parties that were engaged in stalking, third parties that are strangers to me. This is a system. It's a multifaceted system. I'm focused on the third-party outsiders like the one that was across the street, engaged in closing her car door at the same time that I engaged in pressing something on my phone screen, which I do for documentary purposes and showing the tools that they have at their disposal. It was simultaneous with my beginning to document while the helicopter was flying about. Just because you do not hear them, though, they maintain a static presence. So it's 8:48 p.m. It's January 1st, 2020, Wednesday, and I am inside of a vehicle on FERN and G, where the state is still engaged in stalking, harassment, monitoring, invasion of privacy, and they do so in concert with the third parties, as I have termed them, under my theory of public corruption, whereby the state is engaged in the unlawful search and theft of electronic information, that which I became aware of a long time ago, and the state made itself more pronounced by engaging in stalking via aircraft, which I have documented to date. So again, it is the very proof of the system that is in place. It's 8:48 p.m.